These are the top 10 best movies from 2023, and this is the definitive ranking. Ain't nobody touching this list. I'm just playing. This is just my personal 10 favorite from 2023. And I gotta be honest, coming up with the top 10 from this year was really, really hard. Hey, yo. So there's gonna be a lot of honorable mentions. But with that, it is a ranking video, so someone's gonna be upset down in the comments below that I don't have one of their favorite movies on my list. But I do not care, because it's my list I can't miss. Gotta give an honorable mention to Air, Fincher's The Killer, aka literally me. Tiana Taylor's best performance. Sanctuary, which is a single location film where Margaret Qualley and Christopher Abbott deliver an acting masterclass. Talk to Me, which is one of the most creative horror movies I've ever seen. Rye Lane, which I think is such a bonkers and creative rom-com. Speaking of bonkers and creative, I got They Clone Tyrone. And I'm a huge action fan, so Mr. Movies, I got Mission Impossible 8 on here. And finally, you know I gotta mention Mutant Mayhem. I love the Turtles. But with that, in 10th place, I got Poor Things. I'd be surprised if Emma Stone does not win Best Actress at this year's Oscars. This is her most vulnerable and absurd performance I've ever seen of a career. And honestly, this might be the funniest movie of the year. It had me cackling. In the 9th spot, I got Martin Scorsese's very important Killers of the Flower Moon, which tells a very tragic and buried story about the Osage Indians. Leo plays a dumbass, and Lily Gladstone will be picking up an Oscar nomination. In that 8th spot, a movie that I didn't quite love as much as everyone else, but I still thought it was incredibly tragic, Past Lives, which you can't deny the emotional damage. In the 7th spot, I got The Holdovers. If all was right in the world, Paul Giamatti would be picking up an Oscar nomination. I can't believe this is Dominic Sey's first ever role. Breakthrough performance, gotta give it to him. But a Christmas classic from now on for me. In 6th place, I got Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I'm an MCU shill, I love Marvel, so I gotta stick to my roots, I gotta be true to myself. And this movie destroyed me. I love learning more about Rocket's backstory and how the Guardians are really just like our family on that screen if they were talking raccoon and a tree. But the High Evolutionary, one of the coldest villains. There is no God, that's why I stepped in. The hallway fight scene, no sleep till. But into our top 5, I got my favorite blockbuster of the year in Godzilla Minus One. What an incredible story, putting Godzilla back in the villain role and focusing on post-World War II Japan and the survivors' guilt and traumatic experience of a lot of Japanese people questioning their own government. Oh yeah, Godzilla was a menace in this movie. In the 4th spot, I got John Wick Chapter 4, which is just 2.5 hours of pure adrenaline. Some of the most breathtaking sequences I've ever seen. And while yeah, it's not really dialogue heavy, this movie is gonna pioneer a best stunts category at the Oscars, or at least there should be, because some of the shit they were pulling off in this movie was crazy. The club scene, the stair scene, the over-the-head dragon's breath scene, come on man, this is peak. Now I feel like on any given day I can interchange the next two, but in 3rd place I got Oppenheimer. What can I say about this film that hasn't been said already? This is a masterclass in filmmaking, just an incredible screenplay and script, some of the best performances I have ever seen. Cillian Murphy and his beautiful blue eyes say so much without saying anything. All I gotta say is, can you hear the music? But in 2nd place in our runner-up, I got Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, which to me is nothing short of a masterpiece. The visuals, the animation, they somehow one-up themselves from the first movie, telling a story about Spider-Man and deconstructing that from Miles' perspective. Plus, this has to be the best soundtrack of the year, and the crazy thing is the score might just be a little better. A lot of people are probably gonna tell me I have this too high, but all I gotta say is, nah, I'm gonna do my own thing. But hands down, the best movie of the year for me personally is The Iron Claw. I haven't left a theater like that in a long time. I wasn't just crying, I was sobbing. This movie just hit me at the right time. I needed this crescendo of emotions in my life, as this movie tells the most painful and powerful true story of the Von Erich wrestling family. Zac Efron is incredible. We cast Jeremy Allen White into a stable family for once. This movie is just extremely rich in its various themes, with the standout being toxic masculinity and its traumatic effects. But at the core of this movie is love and brotherhood. And that's why for me personally, it was #1. But those are just my 10 favorite of the year. Let me know your 10 favorite down in the comments below. And as always, like and follow for more.